Warriors, I had to come to you before the end of a very long day to share with you that today marked my 1 year anniversary of my radio program, Lynn's Warriors on WVOX here in New York. You know, it's strange. It was a very long year and a very short year all at the same time. My guest today was Dr. Eleanor Kennelly Gaetan, a Vice President and Director of Public Policy at the National Center on Sexual Exploitation in Washington, D.C. And Dr. Gaetan was also my first guest a year ago when I launched the program. And I had her back today for a return engagement to share updates on policy. And we both agree that the federal government, a lot is happening, a lot has transpired in the last year. And there's a lot of work to do. But we agree that in the meantime, you must become a warrior. You must know information. You must talk to your kids and teens. You must take things into your own hands in your own homes, which will trickle down into our communities to strengthen them. There's so much to discuss with you. You know, several months back, I had different sources reaching out to me, including law enforcement in New York State, telling me about busloads of kids showing up at different facilities in the middle of the night, and their hands were tied. They were told to stay out of it. These were buses from the federal government. There was no information given. These were children being brought to foster homes, facilities, charitable places. And I did talk about it, and I have been talking about it. I don't care what you think about illegal children, people. This is a human rights abuse story being financed and supported by our own government. Children dragged over the border. You can't do anything with the border unless you're part of a cartel. You've paid the cartel. So I'm all for people wanting to come and have a better life and come here legally, and they're so dirt poor. I understand all that. But when I hear stories, you cannot, it's a business. It's a business, the cartels. You can't get here without being part of, you paid a cartel, you're part of their caravan. And something we're not talking about enough. So this is a human rights abuse. These children, and then are ferried. And I had different sources when it first happened in Tennessee many months ago. That could have been April. A friend of mine contacted me, told me about it. Always in the middle of the night. A friend of mine in Ohio, a friend of mine in San Diego. Every single state, these kids are being bussed and flown, and I keep asking. We have a right to know. I'm working on it. Where are these children going? Who's, I don't want to hear family members are picking them up or vetted sources. This is a human trafficking operation. I think that's pretty clear, and you'll agree with me. That we're financing, by the way, our taxes. We have to get to the bottom of this because this is unfair. I don't know where these children are going. I have great sources. I work with law enforcement across the country. They can't even tell me. Everybody's locked out. Horrific. We're not going to stand for it. We're going to be digging and researching on this end. What happens to these kids? Where are they going? But it is a safe bet to say that a lot of them will be trafficked. We're not touching enough upon not only our people being, remember, there's smuggling, there's trafficking. How about the drugs? I'm watching a series actually right now called Dope Sick. It's interesting. I finished something a couple of months back all about the crack epidemic here in New York that filled Black communities and inner city. And now I'm watching this about the opioid crisis. Where does it stop, Warriors? It's not going to. I'm not negative. That's why I woke up one day and said, we have to become warriors in our own homes and communities. We have to take things appropriately into our own hands. First, we have to know the information. And then we have to deal with our children, our teens, our family members directly. It's tough. But I need all of you. I'm so passionate. If I help one of you each day, or I give out some sort of information that makes you feel better, or I've directed you on something to do with your children, then I've won. Then we've won. We must. I have never, and none of you have seen anything like this. So we're going to make up our minds to become warriors. And we're going to take care of our kids. And I want to remind everybody, I did this at the beginning of the school year a couple of months ago. Well, we're actually only in October. So I did it in the beginning of September to mid-September, reminding everybody about the digital footprint of their children. Now, what's a digital footprint? We all have one. It simply is all of the information we put online. Our texts, our emails, our tweets, our Facebook, our photos, our messenger. I want to remind all the parents and grandparents out there, we love our children, we're proud of our children, but you're putting their safety at risk. You cannot be posting pictures of where children go to school, where you live, where a school uniform, a sports uniform, something identifiable in the town you live in. It amazes me that we are so strict about seatbelts. I know it became the law. I mean, I go far enough back when there wasn't a seatbelt law. And I go far enough back where there's not a bicycle helmet, so you got to wear bicycle helmets. So we talk about seatbelts and bicycle helmets. We talk about with our kids how harmful alcohol can be, cigarette smoking, drugs. But a large majority of you refuse to acknowledge that the conversation today must include digital safety. I want you to remember when you post these pictures, and I know a lot of you just don't mean it. You're proud. You post a picture. It's a normal thing, a school photo or a birthday party or some accomplishment of your child. You have to remember, it's like opening your front door to the entire world and welcoming them into your home. It's not the days of the Polaroids and the photo albums that I grew up with. You're opening the door. You're saying, come on in. And you wouldn't take your phone. You wouldn't take your phone and you wouldn't hold it up in a supermarket or a parking lot or a mall or a park and say, let me show you my child. Let me show you where we live. Let me show you where Susie goes to school. No, you wouldn't do that. Why do you think the internet is any different? It's interesting because today I had on the program Dr. Eleanor Gayetan from the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, and we got into, she writes policy and advises on the federal, state, and local level to strengthen policy we need done in each state. And I had 20 questions for her, but the clock is always my enemy. And we digressed a little bit. And I asked her, we recently had these congressional hearings with Facebook, whistleblower. We know the harms caused by these online sites, Facebook and Instagram, and the cyberbullying and the sextortion and the sex trafficking. We know it. We have studies. I'm actually tired of talking about it. We don't need a whistleblower to tell us the harms caused by all of this. But indeed, being the way things are, we had congressional hearings. I was always skeptical because big tech, there never seems to be any accountability. There's tremendous censorship to some and not to others. And you know all of this. I don't have to go through it. But I was cautiously optimistic. But then when I heard whistleblower will reveal identity on 60 Minutes, I said, no way. I know where this is going. And indeed, I was right. I don't like to say I was right, but when I start hearing conspiracy, January 6th, hate, we know where this is going. So I asked my guest, Dr. Gayatan today, I said, okay, so we had a lot of noise in congressional hearings. First, we had Antigone Davis, Facebook Global Safety Director, who only could mutter, I don't know, I'll take it back to my team, we'll see. Fizzle, failure, I learned nothing. Next, we had Frances Haugen, who infiltrated Facebook because a good friend of hers fell into some sort of pit of conspiracy theories or something like that. So she wanted to get in there and see what their policies were. So I asked today, I said, well, okay, we had a lot of noise for a couple of weeks. Now what? And I was told October 26th, there will be a third congressional hearing that will focus on Snapchat and TikTok. Well, let me tell you, I am telling you that every one of these online platforms are crime scenes. TikTok, Snapchat, whether it's backdoors into China, gathering all of our information, creating AI out of our children's pictures. I mean, I can't go on Instagram. I'll go on Instagram to put a picture of perhaps a guest I'm having on my radio program. And I have constant women dancing or some cute little animal doing something. I'm not following these people. I guess it's part of their algorithms, that mysterious algorithms we keep hearing about. We also know that Snapchat and TikTok, there's a lot of drug dealing that goes on. And I want to remind all of you warriors that there's a whole dictionary of emojis that kids use. So they don't even have to talk or write anything. When you think an eggplant might mean an eggplant, to them it means something else. And you can go to my website, lynswarriors.org, and you can look for the emoji dictionary because it's there. I suggest all of you brush up on your emoji dictionary. But the kids are dealing drugs, a lot of drug dealers. So again, it begs the question, without all the studies that we have, we know all the harms caused. Big tech. I don't see it changing. I don't see anything happening. I don't see accountability. Now they're talking about Facebook and the metaverse and augmented reality. Warriors, take care of your kids. Common sense, straight talk, dialogue. And remember, even those teens that can be a little testy, kids look for direction. Whether you believe that or not, kids look for reassurance. You're the parent, you're the adult. Take charge, don't give up, don't give in. I know it's frustrating sometimes, it's hard, it's tough. Kids know better, especially the teenagers. But what I'm seeing and what I know, and most things I do not talk about, I work on behind the scenes, but I cannot talk about, I will not talk about. I want to educate all of you. And I want it to become just part of your dialogue, digital safety. And, you know, there was a great report I was talking about today. Great report, that's not exactly the right words to use, but about 7 children ages 7 to 9. Okay. I want to make sure I always give correct facts. And at the end of a long day, late at night, I do not like to be wrong. So I wanted to make sure I found this. A third of children ages 7 to 9 use social media. All right. They're saying that's about 34%. 40% of the parents don't have time to monitor the 7 to 9-year-olds. Well, let me tell you something. If you do not intervene and protect your children, the predators are right there. I am not exaggerating. I suggest, because we are all overwhelmed and busy, trying to keep it all together, trying to keep our homes and food on the table and just daily life, there are plenty of good companies out there. It is worth 1 or 2 lattes to have somebody do all of the work for you every month. I truly believe this. The companies I will always recommend are protectyoungeyes.com. You'll find free. The Warriors, I try to give out as much free information as possible. I believe in free. Make it easy, free. People are burdened enough with money, free. Safety filters, webinars, directives, how to. One of the common complaints I hear is, with the Hulu and the this and the that, the pins and how to do it, and they can't follow YouTube instructions. Take your time, take a deep breath, go to protectyoungeyes.com. Our good friend Chris McKenna will walk you through how to set up safety pins, safety features, safety filters. He's got something like 500 little nugget videos. You could sit with your children. And I think they're all 5 minutes and less. You do a couple a week. I guarantee it'll make a difference in your life and your children's lives. And when the kids know that you're not snooping, you're on their side, because there are creeps, there are predators, there are criminals. They're all around us, because remember, when there's $1 to be made, when there's a penny to be made, they are right there. And we are not going to allow this escalation happening all around us, where our children are the easy product. We're going to do everything in our power to put a dent in this and stop this. You're not coming in my home. No way. But you got to know the information. So protectyoungeyes.com, please check it out. And check out, they have a beautiful free newsletter. These newsletters are chock full of great information. I sent one out this morning. If you go to lynswarriors.org, I send one out usually by Wednesday in the week. The weeks are busy, so usually by Wednesday, I get it out midweek. And just where it says, sign up, e-newsletter. Things in the news, good news, take actions, what's happening. Sign up. Sign up for Protect Young Eyes, their newsletter, because it's all about digital safety. And that is the crux of everything going on right now with exploitation and trafficking. And then the other company I like is called Bark, like a dog, BARK, bark.us. Bark now monitors social media apps that your children are using, and text messages and emails, and connects from your phone or their tablet to your phone, and you'll get alerts and things. And I want you just to go and read about it. Remember, reading is free. Bark.us. Now, they also have a great newsletter. They have a cost though. They've gone for young children, it might be it's about $5.99 a month. And the older kids, $9.99 a month. And that's what I was talking about, 2 lattes. I certainly would spend $10 a month or $6 a month, knowing that I didn't have to do the work and that my kids would be safe. And if somebody sent them an inappropriate picture, dialogue, anything with the red sound the alarm, I would be notified. That's worth $6 or $10 to me. So I'm suggesting you all look at Bark. Again, BARK.us is the website, and protectyoungeyes.com I also want to remind another great resource that I just love, free, the documentary, Childhood 2.0, the movie, Childhood 2.0, the movie. And the website is childhood2movie.com, childhood2movie.com. This was done in 2020. It's the best kind of synopsis in a nutshell. Because remember, we're all busy. Nobody has time. Everybody's rushing. Take the time for these issues. I'm begging you. I'm begging you to learn about this. Childhood 2.0, the movie, brings together real parents, real kids, some grandparents, some educators, talking about the digital landscape out there. You will be amazed. You can find it on YouTube. Go to the website, childhood2movie.com. And what the parents are saying, what the parents know, don't know, what the kids are talking about. Look at the parents' reactions to what the kids are talking about. Remember, these kids are smart. These kids are savvy. And if they're not learning it in your home, they're learning it from their friends. It's all around the kids. And there's a trailer. It's a little over 2 minutes, but I guarantee you, if you watch the trailer, you're going to want to watch the whole documentary, which I think is 38, 40 minutes. Excellent. It will fill you in about all of these issues we talk about here in the Warriors. So you've got homework. I want all of the children to be safe. I want all of the parents to know what's going on and be safe. We know we're getting very little help in our school systems across the country. I am also working very hard on mandatory K through 12 human trafficking education in our school systems. But you can imagine the uphill battle. But I never give up. I keep going and going and going. We do have it in a couple of states. You know, the state of Florida last year announced it. We've got some programs in Virginia. These are our precious children. If you're not going to get it in the school system, it's got to come from you in your own home. You got to know you can't back away from these horrible issues because they're all around us. It's our children. So then I wanted to also remind you that we still have to keep an eye on, we've got, this month is named National Suicide Awareness. This month is named National Domestic Violence Month. This is National Human Trafficking. Well, that's great because it'll shine the spotlight right there. But we have to have these constantly out there. So October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I want to remind you that it's so hopeful because about 35 years ago, domestic violence was not spoken about, was not discussed. It was hushed up. It was, in the back of the closet. And now 35 years later, it's out in the forefront. We openly discuss about it. We talk about it. We write books and movies. And I'm hoping the same happens for human trafficking. In the last 10 years, it's moved up. It's coming out. It's more at the forefront. I'm hoping it doesn't take another 25 years. Because domestic violence and human trafficking intersect. They have a lot in common, actually. Think of a wheel. I'll make it simple. Think of a wheel. And both of them, domestic violence and human trafficking, are a wheel. And in the middle of the wheel, you have power and control. I want to remind you also, sextortion, a nude image online, that's human trafficking, sex trafficking. People never realize this. Think of the wheel, think of something moving. An image moves online, a dialogue moves online. That is human trafficking. The use of force, fraud, and coercion. So many kids do trade these nude photos. They feel pressured or they feel cool, or we have to do a better job at, we're not trading nude photos. A lot of this starts out with a girl and boy. A girl might be, in ninth grade. I'm just using this as an example, and has a boyfriend in 10th grade. And eventually she thinks it's her boyfriend. And he says, send me, here's my photo, send me your photo, take your top off. And she does it. He then takes that photo, he uploads it, for instance, Pornhub, any of these sites to make money off of it, the grooming process. Now, usually kids will say to me, I thought it was wrong or it didn't feel right, but they do it anyway. Remember, always tell the kids, first of all, we all make mistakes. We have to always tell the kids we all make mistakes. It's okay. As long as we talk about it, we all make mistakes. But if it doesn't, something that resonates with the kids, I've noticed, like if it doesn't feel right, it usually isn't. And a 10-year-old can understand that. You don't have to go into a lot of detail. If you have a question, you come to me, mom or dad, and ask. Like, that's the kind of communication we need. And we need to stop this, because the sextortion is so common now. So what happens is, let's get back to the example of the girl in 9th grade. She does one picture. She knows it's kind of not right. Then all of a sudden the boyfriend directs her to, send another picture or a more graphic, or directs a scenario. Because we also have the issue of a lot of young men watching porn. And the porn is not just sex. It is violent, vicious, disgusting, degrading, oppressed categories. A lot of it involving children. And you see, this is what we have laws on the books about minors, about children. Anything with children is illegal. What is wrong with everybody? But then again, when we have, ACLU defending, it's not the ACLU of 40 years ago, defending, I've noticed, defending anything in favor of helping children, in favor of helping the prostitute, get out of that life, not be oppressed and stuck in it. Like, they're suing everybody because they like to say the trans community will have no jobs if they can't do sex work. I'm still always arguing, that's what we think of our trans community. They're only good for sex work when we should be lifting them and educating and partnering with companies and helping them get better jobs and form new relationships. But no, nobody wants to hear about that. So we've got all these uphill battles all around us, but you've got to take care of what's right in front of you, which is your own family and your own home. But you all have to be on board. Everybody, the trusted family members and siblings, like everybody has to be part of it. And we have to, I'm going to get back to this sextortion because it's so common that young girls and kids are trading these pictures. And then they feel so embarrassed. They'll send the second one because they're so vulnerable when the person who they thought was their boyfriend then begins to get a little nasty. I'm going to tell your mom, I'm going to tell your dad, oh, I'm going to send it to your school and circulate it. I'm going to kill your cat. They're so scared and paralyzed. They just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Human rights abuses all over, people treating each other horrifically. I never thought I'd see things like this. I can't imagine what 5 years, 10 years will be from now, which is my concern with this full decriminalization of the sex trade we're facing here in New York and across the country right now. Vermont is all pro sex trade. But let me break that down to make sure you understand it. We believe in partial decrim, meaning that we believe people in prostitution are victims and vulnerable and oppressed. And studies show where prostitution is legal, the women and men are no better off. They're still dealing with somebody controlling them, a trafficker, a pimp. They're still giving their earnings over. There is no pretty woman like that movie with Julia Roberts. They're not buying clothes on Rodeo Drive. They're still basically slaves. That's legal prostitution. So partial decrim is helping that person, that prostituted person, offering exit strategies and resources should they want. Nobody's forcing anybody to do anything should they want. That's partial decrim, that they can be given an opportunity to get out of this oppression, that they can also be given the opportunity to expunge criminal records, because a lot of these prostitutes, the traffickers, the pimps, force them to do other crimes so they can have that, held over their heads, whether it's drugs or robbery, expunging records, getting all of that erased. Because remember, you cannot get an apartment or a job or a credit card. So helping with all of that, that's partial decrim, helping that oppressed person, but holding responsible those who cause the harm, the trafficker, the pimp, the brothel owner. Another thing people don't realize, even in places in Nevada where there are what's considered legal brothels, women are still trafficked through these legal brothels. There's a lawsuit going on right now with the state of Nevada. These women and some men do not have the freedom. They're being trafficked, forced, fraud, or coercion. They're handing over their money. They don't know how to get out. They don't know where to go. It's all about, there's so much money to be made. Where is this going to lead eventually? So we have to strengthen from within. We have to stay in our own lanes, not give in, not ignore, monitor, a word I used to not like concerning children. You know what? We have to monitor because the predators are right there. We have to keep an eye on everything. It's okay if you can't do it. Go to protectyoungeyes.com. Go to bark.us. Pay a few bucks. Put the monitoring tools on. Limit. When I told you about the 7 to 9-year-olds, should 7-year-olds really be on apps all by themselves, not being monitored? There was a story I reported on 2 weeks ago where law enforcement made a major arrest, a sweep, all because a 6-year-old, the parents found him exchanging nude photos with 40 different men, 6-year-old, 40 different men. And these men were directing the child what to do and act. No, I'm not blaming here. But a 6-year-old with a phone, alone, nude videos, you do the math. So we've got that, warrior. And we also have to just keep an eye. Take care of your own kids. Worry about your own kids. Don't get wrapped up in all this noise, what's going on? It's like being hit with a hammer every day. Take care of your home. Take care of your family. And don't let them scare you. Know the facts. Always go to lynswarriors.org to find phone numbers and take actions. And just, I'm going to put a bunch of new material up tomorrow. I'm a one-woman show, so the days are busy, the days are full. It's already very late at night here. I don't have supply chain issues. I've got the Warriors store with mugs and t-shirts and pajamas and stuffed animals. It's cafepress.com, Lynn's Warriors. It's on the website. Think of ordering some of those items. I have no shame for the upcoming holiday season, because all of those proceeds go to survivors of human trafficking. The money goes to them for food, medical copays, transportation. I will not put any of these women or girls on a subway. They'd gladly take a Metro card. No, they have to go in Ubers if I don't personally drive somebody around. It's too dangerous. How about this story circulating? Woman raped on a SEPTA train in Philadelphia. SEPTA is their subway system. While what's reported, 10 people took out phones a little after 9 o'clock at night, filming it, not helping her. An illegal with a criminal record, including a sex crime or two. And he raped her for 30 minutes and people filmed it. I don't even know what to say about that. He doesn't belong, certainly in this country. And she deserves to sue the heck out of the federal government for allowing this person. A judge had ruled that he didn't have to be sent back after his various crimes a year or two ago, because the judge didn't deem the sex crime that serious. This is all, filtering into this normalization of the sexualization of society and this free-for-all. And I'm so concerned because I know what law enforcement tells me. The children are the product. The children are the ones they want. The children are the future. The children are the web traffic, the future customers, the ones they can mold. We have to stop it. A friend of mine wrote to me last night, and I did not see the show, so I will just comment on what I read about it and what he told me, that there is a reboot of the Goldbergs, some sort of comedy. I think it was ABC. No, I'm sorry, The Wonder Years. I'm sorry. Remember The Wonder Years? About the family from the 1970s, I believe it was. And there's a reboot. What else is new? All these reboots. No creativity going around at all in Hollywood. Hollywood, I think it's safe to say, is over. And that's a story there. We'll make our own entertainment. We don't need them. Complicit, complicit, complicit. I worked there for a long time. I know what I speak of. That the Wonder Years reboot did an episode. Again, I have not seen it. Something where the son found the parents' porn stash, and the mom and the son had some sort of discussion where it's so normal for boys and porn and looking at girls. Now, you might say that seems innocent, but if you did my work and knew what I know about this porn, and I want to remind you, a lot of today's porn involves children. And why this isn't shut down immediately? I can't figure it out. Big tech. Seems like everything bad. We got the big tech just lurking there. There is no normal porn of categories of, girls with braids, black girl, 6 to 8 years old screaming, all kinds of horrific things I don't want to talk about. Needs to be shut down. It's criminal. Needs to be prosecuted. Where's the DOJ? We need more prosecutions. So while everybody's talking about all of that other stuff, escalation, normalization of all of this crime against our children. I want to finish up with reminding you, if you're in the New York area, and even if you're not, you can take a train, you can take a plane, you can walk, you can bike. Saturday, September 4th, November 29th, we have opening arguments here in New York City for Ghislaine Maxwell, hashtag human trafficker, hashtag Epstein Maxwell duo, hashtag justice for the girls. We are going to be having a very peaceful protest and rally across from the Supreme Court, New York Supreme Court, downtown in Foley Square, the Thomas Paine Park, 1 o'clock. It's going to be survivors, standing with survivors. We'll have a lot of the Epstein women here because of the trial, but we're also going to make it an afternoon about survivors standing together, empowering each other. Remember, put the warriors, engage, educate, empower. There's strength in numbers, strength in being together, and give these women, and there will be some men because we are making this about survivors, giving them our love, sharing stories, being together. We don't hear enough, in my opinion, from the survivors, or allow, I should say, with this full decrim here in New York, the elected officials are only listening to one side, the pro-sex trade side. They're not listening to the voices of the survivors of sex trafficking, labor trafficking, that are saying, we cannot have this full decrim. We need what is called the equality model, which is what I described to you, that we take the prostituted person, offer them services should they want. Partial decrim. Help them, but hold responsible those who cause harm. And justice, for that pimp and trafficker and brothel owner and sex buyer. And it's so disheartening. Tonight we had our mayoral debate. I did not see it. I was working. I'll have to catch up on that. But neither one of them, Curtis Sliwa, Eric Adams, want to hear about this equality model. Survivors. You're supposed to hear about both sides, not just one side. If people, victims, survivors of human trafficking say, here is what happens. This is why we cannot have this. This is keeping people oppressed. Why won't they listen to their voices? It is mind-boggling. So anyway, this will be Saturday, December 4th, Foley Square, which is downtown across from all the big court buildings and our New York Supreme Court, Thomas Paine Park. And we are going to come together peacefully and proudly and demand transparency, demand that voices be heard for people who want to talk about the equality model, the partial decrim. I can't do my job. One of my tenets of the Warriors is all of the donations, and I want to thank everybody. I've had so many of you being so generous towards me, and I am humbled, and I thank you. That money goes all to survivors. There are no resources. Every day I'm hearing about these $1 trillion packages and these monies for the illegals and the this and the that. There's nothing. Have to fight. There's nothing for our own Americans, survivors, resources for human trafficking. And while I'm on it, I am pro law enforcement, and I need our law enforcement to partner with me, to help me in all of this, to help me with these people. Where's the money for all of this? I'm fighting every day for all of these victims, these survivors. That's part of Lynn's Warriors, a big part of it, in helping them reclaim their lives, so they can have some grocery money. It's nothing exorbitant. It's some clothing. We have winter coming, so we're doing winter coats right now and socks and make sure everybody has boots. Those just basic necessities. That's where the money goes. So I want to thank you. You've been tremendously generous towards me and what I'm working on. I can't imagine we treat our fellow citizens like this. So you don't want your child or grandchild to become a victim. You need to intervene. You need to stop this. We're in this 24/7 digital world, and I'm begging you, I'm giving you resources. Don't let them grow up thinking this is normal. Don't let them grow up thinking they're bad. We got to find the power. I'm finding it for all of you because I refuse. Children are all precious. Doesn't matter. We love them no matter what. So I want to remind you as we wrap up, share a picture of a missing child. Go to missingkids.org. Also read about, Domestic Violence Awareness Month and what to do if you are caught in any of these scenarios, or if you know of somebody, and go to lynswarriors.org and find all that information. But remember, you got to sign up also for the Lynn's Warriors weekly newsletter, because I put all of these things in the newsletter as well. And then I also, I think by next week, well, let me start with, we had some good news. We had some justice in Florida, October 18th, Operation Roundup. 125 people were arrested in Hillsborough County. My husband's from there, Tampa, Florida, Hillsborough County. One was a pastor, one was a school teacher, soliciting prostitution. Some children were involved. 125 in one community. The good news is they were arrested, but we need follow-up. But 125, just think about that, in one community, and children involved. But we're beginning. I'm going to have a couple of churches I announced. We're doing the Warrior workshops. I simply go in, I talk about digital safety, and then we do a Q&A, because parents and grandparents like to just ask questions. So I'm not going to talk for 2 hours and do a PowerPoint. Boring, and there's nothing worse than being bored. I think you'd agree with me on that. Half hour, digital safety. The Lynn's Warriors takeaway book, which will have your free resources in it. And we come together as a community. I truly believe, you might think it sounds corny. I don't. After all of my work on the federal level, the state level, the city level, and I'll continue to do that. I'll continue fighting for you and your children nonstop. I'm empowered to do bigger and better each and every day. I can't help myself. Somebody's got to do it. I'm the chosen one, because this is tough. And I'm lucky that I'm strong and I can do this. But we've got to just follow the directives I give. Just a couple of small things will make all the difference in your own home. And read. There's so much free information to read and to know about. But remember, at the Warriors, I'm always driven by facts, information, studies. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Don't just retweet something that sounds salacious, could be. When you're talking about trafficking, make sure you really know what you're talking about and have well-vetted information. So again, I would recommend, missingkids.org. Look at some of those studies, those facts and stats. Also, lynswarriors.org, information I put up there. Also, go to the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. EndSexualExploitation.org is the website, and look at their studies. Remember, use well-vetted information and know what you're talking about. But I'm excited. I'm excited because the radio program is a year old today. Happy birthday, Lynn's Warriors. And the second year is going to be bigger and better with major announcements. And you're all with me on this journey because I want to help you with your children. So don't despair, warriors. Don't be overwhelmed. Take a deep breath. Join me when I do these videos. Look at my tweets. Look at my Facebook. Live your lives. Reassure your children that everything will be okay. And each and every day, go out and be a warrior.